I was interested when I was in Saudi Arabia that there's now a national debate there where they're aware that the Muslim world is kind of on fire and that they have an implication in this, and they kind of know it. They know that their very, very narrow and bitter interpretation is causing these explosions. Why is it that Yemen and Libya and Iraq and Syria, where things were pretty cool and pretty calm between different sorts of people until very recently, are now the world's worst examples of intercommunal, very un-Abrahamic, inhospitable fighting? Well, they're conscious of it. So I just want to leave you with a few thoughts. Here is, as part of the national debate that they're now having on television between sheikhs who are pro and anti the official Salafist line. So here is Sheikh al-Kalbani, who is from the establishment there and a former imam of the Haram in Mecca, talking about Daesh, which is the ISIS phenomenon in Syria, Iraq and elsewhere. He says, Daesh has adopted Salafist thought. It's not the Muslim Brotherhood's thought, Qutbism, Sufism or Asharite thought. They drew their ideas from what's written in our own books, from our own principles. The ideological origin is Salafism. They exploited our own principles that can be found in our own books. We follow the same thoughts but apply it in a refined way. This is a real crisis for them. The kingdom is kind of wobbly, and we should be praying for its stability, I think, because its collapse into sectarian chaos would be a disaster for the Ummah and for the Haramain. We should be praying for the kingdom's stability, evidently. But they're having this conversation at the moment, and I saw a television interview on Prince Walid's channel, Rotana, with one of the sheikhs there, Sharif al-Awni, where he's written publicly in Al-Hayat newspaper and other newspapers saying the reason why the old, inclusive, beautiful adab but good neighborliness between different communities of the Abrahamic world is now breaking down is because of certain ideas that are in the books of Muhammad bin Abdul Wahhab. You can see the interview on YouTube. It's kind of public knowledge. Everybody there is talking about it. He says their ideology comes from our ideology, and we need to think very carefully about what we're exporting. So I think that we need to take the views of those Saudi sheikhs seriously and to respect the public debate that they're now having. They can see that wherever that ideology is going, people shout more loudly into the microphones, people are angrier about their non-Muslim neighbours, people are angrier about other interpretations of Islam, and countries which need everybody to be good neighbours are now apparently irreparably broken and torn up, and we weep for Syria and Iraq and those places are dear to our hearts, and to see them collapse in this kind of unnecessary sectarian hatred between people who should be Abrahamic brethren is very painful. But these sheikhs in Saudi Arabia are now saying these ideas, Salafist ideas, are an interpretation of our own books and our own ideas. And Sharif al-Awni, I saw him on TV, says it's not coming from Sufism, it's not coming from Asharism, it's not coming from any other Islamic school of thought. Where this interpretation of Salafiyya takes root, in a country where people are ethnically diverse and the place has to be neighbourly, it's sowing the seeds of a detonation. That's their view, and I suggest that we treat it with respect, and inshallah, because it's the land of the Haramain, we'll make dua that that debate is resolved in a positive way, and that Muslims there and everywhere return to something that's more authentic, that we have the courage to overcome our narrow-mindedness and our desire to blame other members of the Abrahamic family and move back to something that is uncompromising and more true to the spirit of the Sunnah and to the mithaq of alastu bi rabbikum and to the way of Sayyidina Ibrahim Khalilullah alayhi wa ala nabiyyina as-salam. And we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to quench those fires and to calm the ummah and to make us once again visibly khayra ummatin ukhrijat lin-nas, the best ummah that is brought out for mankind. At the moment we're not visibly that, and the reason is very often, according to these Saudi sheikhs, the spread of those doctrines. So may Allah unite the Muslims and give us mutual respect, and inshallah bring us together as Ahl al-Qibla in everything that is good.